Hello, welcome to my first devblog. I am going to be showing off the plans I have for making a PSX style horror game in the theme of sort of Resident Evil 2, and show how I'm going to do a sort of twist and different take on it. So to show what the plan is, everything is going to move in a synchronous manner. So when the player moves, player being the red box, everything else moves. When the player turns, everything moves. When they draw their gun, everything moves, and so on and so forth. You can pass turns, and you can shoot to kill stuff, yeah. So the idea here is that the way that the original Resident Evil games worked is, or inspired some degree of horror, is that the controls were sort of tank-like and difficult. So by making it difficult to turn around, running away from zombies became a lot more tense, and aiming at them became a lot more tense. So I'm going to try to emulate this in a turn-based fashion in a similar way to games like Crypt of the Necrodancer or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. To show off a little bit of how it's working, you typically expect the main character script to have something like to read inputs, but in this case, because inputs are really calling for everything in the world to work, we're doing things slightly differently. So you can see there's a custom public void act here that receives an int value, and then we do something that looks kind of like we're checking for inputs if key 1, if key 2, if key 3 do different things. Where the inputs are really being checked is in this thing called Turn Manager, which is here. Game Manager has the Turn Manager script, and it's just an empty object set in the scene. And it is polling to see what keys are being pressed. So if W, if A, if D, etc. And then when that happens, it is searching for every single enemy in the game, telling them that a key has been pressed, specifically not the shoot key, because there are different parameters. So in the case of any button but Q, so Q sends a 1, W sends a 0. So everything is sending 0 except Q. Then after it's called for every single enemy to move, so just as a demonstration, the enemies also have an act, thing. And right now all they do is move forwards. So you can see here, game object transformed opposition Z+1. But basically it is set up so that once I implement AI, so I replace this line with whatever behavior I want them to have, they will behave in sync with the player's movement. And yeah, so the Turn Manager sends them a signal. Then it also sends the player character script, the main character script, a signal to show them that, to tell them as well what key has been pressed. So key 1, key 2, key 3, so that it knows. And obviously, a special case in the case of Q, it checks to see if the movement of the main character is 0, so because the gun is drawn. When the gun is drawn, the player character has a movement of 0. This will probably change, it's just a sort of demo thing for now. And then it sends a special signal to the enemy script if Q has been pressed, because that means the gun has been fired. So in the case of, so over here, it sends a 1, and then we see if input equals 1, and kill switch is true, then it sets the game object to false. Now, in future I will delete this. Again, this is just for demo purposes. So the way that the kill switch triggers is because you can't actually manually check for collision detection using Unity system, you have to be constantly checking. There is an on-trigger enter and on-trigger exit. If this enemy detects an overlap with a reticle object, which in the world I will just show. So these things here all have the tag reticle. You can see the tag reticle. Yeah, if they have a reticle, it sets the kill switch to true. If they no longer have overlap with the reticle, sets kill switch to false. So then when we do the check here, if kill switch is false, nothing happens. If kill switch is true, because there is an overlap, then we delete the object. And that's everything so far. I think it's a good foundation for me to go moving forwards. Obviously it doesn't look like much, and the camera doesn't even move around, so you can go really far into the distance and not really have a good idea of where you're aiming or anything like that. But, oh, got them both. Yeah, tune in next time for more progress, hopefully.